What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. We are taking it back to another God Roll weapon guide for the season of Plunder in our arc heavy weapon machine gun, Planck's Stride. Now these come from our Ketchcrash, our Star Chart, our Expedition missions, all involving the HELM and our season missions. This thing is that very rapid fire frame, so you're putting a lot of bullets down range fast with that little decrease in impact and range to this weapon compared to some of our other machine guns. Now for our PvP God Roll, as you can see here, this thing does kind of suck inside of the crucible in my opinion, just because of how bouncy the reticle is when you're shooting it, and that little rack of impact and range. It really doesn't help too much inside of the crucible. There are a lot better machine guns to take in there, but in PvE it does have a nice little niche. Now for our PvP God Roll though, we do have it built out for stability mostly, with that range backing it up a little bit. So for our masterwork, we're going with stability because, like I said, with that rapid fire, this thing is bouncing all over the place. Now for our barrel, we're going with small bore to give us range and stability, kind of the best of both worlds for this rapid fire frame machine gun. Then accurized rounds just like usual, giving us that range for my PvP weapons, especially since this one you can get it all the way down to I think 23 or 20 for the range if you have on the wrong perks, so definitely this thing lacks in that direction. Now to help with that, we are using Killing Wind, so final blows grant increased mobility, weapon range, and handling, so this will help us with that range and moving a little bit faster with this weapon when we're running around. Not that it's going to matter too much, and we can't chain too many defeats together unless you're stacking your heavy ammo inside of the crucible, playing sixes, but this definitely seemed like the best perk to have in this slot. You could also go with perpetual motion if you're feeling that. Now for me, in this fourth column, I went tap the trigger, which initially gives us that great increase to stability on the initial trigger pull. So this gives us the ability to continuously tap our trigger in our mouse button or our trigger on our controller to get those defeats instead of holding down the action to shoot. It just helps with that stability a lot, and in one of those initial pulls, with this how it's built out, you're able to get a pretty good amount of damage, if not the full defeat on a guardian, without wasting too many bullets, continuously having that stability being procced. Now for the PvE God Roll with this weapon, pairs very good with our Arc Super, especially continuing things that give us harmonic siphon in orbs of power or creating elemental wells via elemental armaments. Very good choice for an arc heavy weapon that isn't an exotic rocket launcher or machine gun. So for me though, with always basically, I'm going with a reload masterwork, especially on our heavy weapons. This thing has a little faster reload than our other machine guns because it is a rapid frame, but it still feels very clunky and slow, so I threw the reload masterwork on this to get the stats that you can see below in 25 impact, 33 range, 45 stability, 47 handling, and that nice 77 reload speed. Now for me, I'm throwing small bore on this bad boy so we get that increased range and stability, same as our PvP, kind of the best of both worlds. Now for me, I'm throwing tactical mag on, as you've heard me explain before. It gives us that magazine and a reload speed increase instead of something like appended mag that might give us a few more bullets in the magazine, but definitely gives us that knock to reload speed, which I just do not like inside of the PvE realm. Now, a nice little perk that we have on this bad boy, especially since its stability and bounce with the rapid frame is kind of all over the place, is Mulligan. Missing a shot improves the chance of returning ammo directly to the magazine, almost like a subsistence but for misses. Kind of a nice little way to have a little better damage on enemies, and like I said, with the crazy stability on this weapon, you are going to hit most of your shots, but there is a higher chance of it bouncing off the target and missing with that high crazy bounce. Now for me, in our 4th slot, going with Swashbuckler on this weapon, was really hoping that it had Volt Shot, which are a lot of our other arc weapons from this season have. But Swashbuckler is a good replacement by getting that increased damage, stacking up to ×5 with weapon defeats, or stacking it immediately up to ×5 with a melee defeat. So it is very good at that extra damage output, and most of the time we have other enemies around a boss when we're doing damage. Example, inside of the King's Fall raid, most of those bosses have other enemies around that we need to damage besides like War Priest. So a very good addition to have on this weapon for that extra damage, and I just think it pairs well with the PvE realm in general, especially since we have overload on our machine guns this season. So thank you guys so much for watching and continuously coming back to the channel. I know it's a little slow season, but we have tried to come out with some pretty fun Arc 3.0 builds for each of our characters, as well as going over some of these new weapons from this season of Plunder in the King's Fall raid, as well as our seasonal weapons like this Planck Stride here. So thank you guys again. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.